two young models discovered dead in their luxury apartments in downtown Los Angeles just days apart. One case is considered a homicide. The other one right now is considered suspicious, undetermined. Are they related? This is a story.
The story unfolds in the bustling and vibrant city of Los Angeles, California, a place where a diverse population of individuals spanning all ages aspire to pursue careers in creative fields such as acting, singing, and even modeling. Beyond its potential to turn dreams into reality, Los Angeles is a multifaceted city that has the ability to keep life brimming with joyful moments. But beneath its ecstasy, there's also a darker side to Los Angeles. The city has a history of various crimes, ranging from minor offenses like theft to more grave ones, such as homicide. Among those who were savoring the privileges LA had to offer were two young black women named Nichole Coats and Maleesa Mooney. Unexpectedly, in September of 2023, their lives were heinously taken away from their loved ones. As investigations commenced and more information emerged in regards to these distinct murders, many people were left contemplating questions like, could these two murders be connected? Or could there be a perpetrator running around LA specifically targeting black women? Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm AJ, and this is your dose of true crime. I cover all things true crime, so if true crime is your cup of tea, consider subscribing to the channel after watching or listening to today's story. I missed last week's upload, so this week I'm hoping to give you guys two videos, one today and the other on Thursday, or vice versa. I'm not sure which one's going to go up first, but you're going to get two. And I'm thinking Monday and Thursdays are good upload days, but y'all let me know in the comments what days you should get your videos. I know Mondays for sure, so that's not changing, but I need another good day to upload, so let me know. So today's story is quite alarming, and mainly because there may be a predator on the loose, specifically someone who is targeting black women in a particular age group and of a particular career path. So a lot of people are torn that have seen this story on whether they are related or if they are two separate ordeals. So after I explain each case, you guys can let me know what you think down in the comment section. And I also have some information on where you can contact local authorities in regards to either case if you have information, because unfortunately, both of these cases are still open and unsolved. So the first story begins on a dreaded Tuesday morning, September 8th, 2023. So just a few months ago, when friends and family members of a woman named Nichole were waiting for phone calls or text messages from her when they realized that they hadn't heard from her in several days. Nichole, aka Nichole Coats, was born in the early 1990s to her mother Sharon Coats and her father Guy Coats. Somewhere along the way, her parents split. However, they remained cordial and ensured a relatively normal childhood for Nichole and went to great lengths to take care of her well-being. As a result of this, Nichole grew up to be full of life and compassionate, along with a strong will to achieve whatever her heart desired. In 2015, Nichole went on to get her bachelor's degree in fashion merchandising from California State University in Long Beach and began a new chapter in her life. She got a new apartment in a downtown LA complex called 8th and Grand, and she lived there while commencing her career working as an assistant sales manager for an LA-based company called Hatch Collective. In addition to this career, during her spare time, Nichole pursued professional modeling in hopes of one day transitioning and making that her full-time job. It was through her modeling gigs that Nichole was able to garner a hefty amount of social media followers, which in turn motivated her to reach for newer heights in her modeling career. Although Nichole, who was 32 at the time of this case, devoted most of her time to her career, like many other women in her age bracket, she was also interested in devoting her time to finding love. Now, as reports would state, she was a thriving single woman with no kids and no significant other. That was until just a few days prior to her disappearance, she actually crossed paths with an unidentified man and agreed to go out on a date with him. The pair agreed to meet on Tuesday, September 8th. And so with every passing day, Nichole grew more and more excited about the day to meet him. She's very enthusiastic, just very open to the thoughts of embarking on a new journey in her life. And she couldn't help but talk about this amongst her close friends and family members. So in hindsight, this pivotal factor may have proven useful to law enforcement who are yet to find the responsible perpetrator. However, unfortunately, this is all that is really known about Nichole's case up until her disappearance, as her family members chose to keep her private life just that, private. So the day of the meeting came and went without a word from Nichole, which was very strange, considering how excited she was prior to the big day. Promptly, friends and family caught on to her uncharacteristic silence, as she was known to check in with her family daily, again on top of the fact that she was very excited about the big day. So 2 days later, on September 10th, Nichole's father, Guy, and her aunt, Mary Stevens, decided to visit her at her apartment, still holding out hope that Nichole was well and was simply preoccupied with work. However, considering her change in behavior lately, they started to think that maybe that wasn't so plausible. And unfortunately for Nichole's father and her aunt Mary, their worst nightmare became a reality. It's unclear if the apartment was unlocked, but given the circumstances, one can assume that they had to force themselves in. As they entered the bedroom, they were met with a distressing sight. Nichole laid lifeless on her very own bed with one leg extended towards the wall in a very unusual kicking stance. According to her Aunt Mary, it was nearly impossible to recognize Nichole, as her entire body, including her face, had been severely bruised and swollen from enduring repeated beatings. Immediately, LAPD was notified of this horrific discovery, and upon the officer's arrival, Nichole's death was ruled as a murder. With the discovery began the investigations to get to the bottom of who could have been responsible for this heinous crime and why. Why would they target Nichole? But before a proper update was even put out to the public, LAPD was shockingly introduced to yet another case, very similar to Nichole's.
It's senseless, and I want some answers because my daughter is gone. And it's not fair. I want everybody to find out who did this to her. She shouldn't be gone.
But we need to know. We need to know what happened.
Family members of a beautiful young model who recently discovered her dead in her downtown Los Angeles apartment are crying foul play and explain they are frustrated at the lack of answers and information coming from investigators.
I couldn't recognize her.
You feel there was some level of violence with this death?
Yes, I do.
You believe it was murder?
I believe it was. I really do. One of her legs was up in the air in a kicking position. That's not nobody that's just laid in their bed and died.
I don't know who she went out with. What transpired there, I have no idea. But I'm going to find out. So if you're out there, you're going to get caught. You're messing with the wrong person.
The LA County Coroner's Office says the case of Nichole Coats is open and the cause of death deferred. That means the cause is undetermined and further investigation is needed. However, Nikki's suspicious death is alarmingly similar to another recent.
Just 2 days after recovering Nichole's body from her apartment and beginning investigations for her murder, another Black woman aged 31 was found murdered in her own downtown LA luxury apartment as well. Her name was Maleesa Mooney. Maleesa worked as a real estate agent in Beverly Hills and took genuine pleasure in her work. Among those who knew her, she was known to be gracious and kind-hearted. She was like the glue of the family. In addition to her inner beauty, she possessed a striking outer beauty as well, which is what put her in a position to start a modeling career. Shockingly, similarities between Maleesa and Nichole didn't end there. Maleesa resided in an apartment in a downtown LA complex called Sky at Bunker Hill that she had gotten just a month prior to this ordeal, and it was only a mile away from Nichole's apartment. As one would, she purchased fresh furniture to decorate in order to have a fresh start to a new life because she was becoming a mother. She was 2 months pregnant and she was really excited as she had always desired to be a mom. The first signs of trouble in paradise started on September 7th when Maleesa had gone and come back from a trip to Miami without getting in contact with any of her relatives. Relatives decided to reach out to her via text message and noticed that the messages were deemed undelivered. So after some time, the messages did eventually go through, and the family just assumed that it was due to the phone dying, or perhaps her phone was having problems, which eventually worked itself out. But after Maleesa didn't respond to any of their messages, their concern quickly arose again, and they decided to pay her a visit, much like Nichole Coats.
Mooney's family became anxious when they couldn't get a hold of her last week. They apparently could tell the iPhone messages they sent her weren't going through.
When a week went by, we just knew something was off. Like, her messages wasn't delivering and stuff. So we knew something was up because we all have a special relationship with Maleesa. The severity of the circumstance seems so unexpected. It's been a wave of emotions. We don't really know how to feel.
LAPD
After confirming that Maleesa no longer had possession of this phone, it immediately confirmed the worst for Maleesa's mother and her sister, prompting them to rush over to her apartment on September 12th. Given that this was a luxury apartment, anyone other than the tenant was not allowed to enter the apartment if the tenant was not available. Consequently, the police were informed, and with their presence, the distressed family members were allowed to enter Maleesa's apartment. As soon as the door swung open, a cold breeze rushed out of the flooded apartment, which was covered in water. The condition in which the apartment was in, deemed very suspicious, and with that said, authorities directed her family members to head downstairs and wait for them to signal that it was okay to enter the unit. Maleesa's family expected to be waiting just a few minutes. However, a few minutes turned into a couple of hours. When they were finally let up into the apartment, the police had already gone, concluding their initial investigation for clues on what happened to Maleesa. So the family was left with the aftermath of said search. When they entered her apartment, it was completely covered in black dust, assuming they were trying to lift fingerprints to possibly get a hit. In addition to that, chunks of the carpet were missing, which were probably collected for DNA evidence. And lastly, her refrigerator was missing as well. It was later learned that there was a pool of blood surrounding the refrigerator, and when authorities investigated that further, they made the gruesome discovery of a mutilated body, which was none other than Maleesa Mooney's, dismembered inside. This would also explain why the air conditioning was set so low. Whoever had done this to Maleesa made sure to slow down the process of decomposition. According to reports, Maleesa underwent a severe form of homicidal violence, and reports stated that her body had to be quote-unquote put together at the mortuary. So as we have learned, Maleesa and Nichole have a lot of similarities between their two cases, but this point is where those similarities end and Maleesa's case starts to veer off in a different direction. So after learning what happened to Maleesa, her family also noticed that some of her personal belongings were missing as well, which included her iPhone, which was already determined missing when her mother and sister tried to investigate her whereabouts and discovered that it was resold for $100 to a complete stranger. In addition to that, her laptop was missing, dirty laundry, and her favorite purse. More than a month passed, and the LAPD has yet to ease the minds of the public, and most importantly the victims' families, with a lead on who could have possibly done this. This has led the public to contemplate several theories, such as the presence of a psychotic killer running around LA targeting Black women, specifically Black models. Some even question the involvement of the unidentified man that was supposed to go on a date with Nichole. However, in recent statements, the LAPD declared that these two cases are in fact not linked, but they refuse to confirm why they have come to this conclusion. One plausible theory to side with the statement would be because of the celebrity status of Maleesa's sister, Jordine, who is a well-known singer. With fame comes a lot of craziness. You get stalkers, haters, and so it's presumed that someone could have been trying to get back at Jordine for something through her sister Maleesa. Another theory is that they were trying to get at Jordine directly and mistook Maleesa for her. However, based on photos that I personally have seen, which you guys are looking at now, it doesn't appear that they resembled each other enough for someone to mistaken Maleesa for her sister. However, that is another theory that people have come up with. Regardless of the countless theories one may come up with, the ultimate responsibility still lies in the hands of law enforcement to investigate both of these cases thoroughly and provide answers to the victims' families in order to seek justice for their loved ones. Since the initial break of this case, there have been a few updates released to the public pertaining to the autopsy reports for both women. So starting with Nichole, after completing her autopsy report, it was discovered that her cause of death was changed from a murder to overdose of drugs, specifically cocaine. Now, whether Nichole was an avid drug user or not is questionable, but I do believe it's unfair to dismiss any other contributions to her death simply because drug use or overdose is on the table. It's as if she's being treated like she doesn't deserve a fair investigation. And when the results came back regarding her autopsy report, commenters underneath news reports were not very pleasant either, and they too made it seem as though she did not deserve a fair investigation, but rather implied that she deserved what happened to her, simply because drugs were in play. Now, I'm no coroner, but based on the description of how she was found, it doesn't seem like an overdose of drugs would result in your body appearing to be badly beaten to the point of unrecognition. And it's very frustrating that the minute they find drugs in a person's system, they're so quick to dismiss any other contributions and deem that as the sole purpose for why this person is deceased. Have they ruled out the fact that maybe she was beaten so badly that she couldn't move, and the assailants could have possibly drugged her prior to or even after the beating? Just like they believe that she overdosed, they also need to rule out that someone did not force her to overdose. And even if she didn't necessarily die from the beating, which is what they're trying to make it out to be, being assaulted is still a crime in which they should still be looking for her attacker. So I sincerely hope that LAPD is still out there looking for the person who did this to her, because there's no way that this is self-inflicted. Now, as for Maleesa, it is evident that she was in fact murdered. That's undeniable. However, there was an interesting discovery with her autopsy report as well. Her family had disclosed that she was 2 months pregnant. However, the report came back that she was in fact not pregnant at all. So in my eyes, that's good news, because that's one less person that the family has to mourn the loss of. More than likely, she could have purchased an over-the-counter pregnancy test and it issued a false positive, which is common. And also the reason why it's advised that you go to a doctor to get more concrete answers. However, that still doesn't take away from the fact that someone took her life and destroyed her family. Her sister Jordine left her some beautiful words on her Instagram post, which I will share on the screen, and you're more than welcome to pause and read. Both families are aware of each other's cases and have shown support towards each other. If you have any information pertaining to either case, you are urged to get in contact with the local police department of Los Angeles, and that information will be disclosed in the description box below. If you have any friends who are Black females and models in the LA area or plan to travel there, please share this video with them. It's very important that they are aware and vigilant. We do not want another person to potentially be a part of what looks like a killing spree. That's going to do it for today's video, you guys. I thank you so much if you made it to the end. Don't forget to thumb it up, leave a comment down below, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 4K, and I will have another upload for you guys later this week. Thanks again for watching, and be safe.